Knight Frank says that Saudi Arabia will need to build 115,000 homes each year for the next 6 years to fulfill demand from a young population and hit ownership targets, which they have set for themselves. As Dr. Hannah, the kingdom's government wants home ownership to reach 70% by 2030, actually getting close to that. They're at 63.7% now at the end of 2023, so actually probably a little bit higher than that. So it's definitely achievable and they're getting there. But the reason this goal exists, maybe one of the biggest reasons for the government, is because 45% of Saudi Arabia's citizens are below 20 years old. That is a large portion of the population that is soon going to need a place to live, their own place to live in the new Saudi Arabia. Knight Frank estimates housing demand at 825,000 over the next 6 years now, 6 to 5 years, 35% of which is in the capital, Riyadh, with affordability remaining key to the market, something we talked about in the intro, and with Faisal. So that's a key thing. Pressure has built up on Saudi Arabia's housing supply in the past few years. Many companies relocating staff to Riyadh as part of the regional HQ program. That's also where a lot of the action is. Rents are up by 35% in the past 3 years. Anybody living in Riyadh feels it. So there's a go-go attitude right now. The Kingdom's Sakani program, which includes social housing, has 883,562 applications from people looking to buy homes with financing help through guarantees on mortgages below 520,000 riyals. That's $138,000 roughly. So who is doing the building primarily? It's the National Housing Company, known as NHC, which has been tasked with building much of the housing supply needed at an affordable price point. Again, that's the key part, is can they be affordable? The firm has plans for 200,000 homes, is all according to Knight Frank, a new study from them, again, released right after our conversation. Good reason to get Faisal back, although we do plan to get him back on the show quite soon to talk more specifically about commercial real estate, which we didn't really get a lot of chance to talk about. NHC has plans to build 200,000 homes, and the total could reach 300,000 by the end of next year, 2025. And currently, about 1.04, so about 1 million new homes, are in various stages of development across Saudi Arabia and set for completion by 2030. Again, all of this according to Knight Frank.
I think one of the things that I think is difficult to wrap your head around is how fast the population of Riyadh is growing, and therefore how we're going to find enough housing for everybody and how quickly it's going to be built, the quality that it's going to be built at, what the demand is going to look like. And then this is something that's not necessarily in this report, but something that I think is really important to consider, which is how walkable your neighborhood is going to be, how easy you're able to access the new public transportation network that's being built. Are you going to be working close enough to where you're going to live, or are you going to be sitting in traffic for a few hours? These are really interesting questions. That's why I find these conversations with Faisal so interesting, is because I think we're all thinking about real estate is one thing, but we're thinking about housing and where people live and how they live and the quality of their life.
There's a lot in this report. Mortgages in Saudi Arabia have surged above 600 billion riyals compared with 200 billion riyals in 2019. This is what we're witnessing, is essentially the birth and then the fast growth of a mortgage market in the kingdom. So it's an unbelievably hot space, one that is critical to national strategy, but also a real bread and butter thing that is needed in the kingdom. Other developers are adding to the kingdom supply of homes. But a lot of the new, what we just heard from Faisal, a lot of the new supply coming on from the private developers are for middle income and luxury housing like New Murabba and Roshan. Of course, Diriyah, the crown jewel, has new homes that they're adding. But at first, they've all been just slightly out of the affordability range for many Saudis, said with tongue firmly in cheek. But yet, so you're seeing supply starting to come online from every direction to try to meet the demand. Just such a cool space. Anyway, we've talked a lot about real estate today, but it really is a fascinating thing.